Welcome to the Opportunity Knocks podcast by EmpowHer Purpose, hosted by me, Michelle Valenzuela-Wolf. Every week, we feature different extraordinary female entrepreneurs in the business and wellness segments on just that, opportunities. These segments deep dive into how these courageous women transition into their purpose. We want to give you permission to discover, pursue, and achieve your goals. We learn and reaffirm that life is never linear. It's how we as women choose to take, make, create, and evaluate opportunities. Remember, it's all gonna be okay. Thank you for your support and make sure to subscribe. Good morning, Suze. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here, Michelle. I can't believe how long it's been since our last podcast.
I know exactly, because I do feel like we have been able to maintain seeing each other at least a few times a year, even though it should be more because frankly, we don't live that far away from each other.
Right. And I loved crashing your last workshop at Unplug. It looked like just the most exciting place to be.
Yeah, I have to say there was a lot of alive energy in there, but that's the way I like to facilitate. So, and I know that's actually something I really admire about you too. You're very alive, very in your body. And one of the best things for me is being greeted by your smile, to be honest with you.
Wow. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's true. I'm sure people have told you this before, but it's one of your assets. Like you're welcoming, even if there's discernment behind it sometimes, let's just be honest. But you have you have this like open smile where you're ready to greet somebody. And it's really a great quality.
Wow. Well, I obviously love you. So when I see you, it's a genuine one.
Mm.
And, I really love people and I love anybody who walks through the door of Unplug. I just want to give them a hug because one, they showed up. They're there.
Mm.
They're doing it. They're part of the movement, which is to ripple out peace, love, presence to the planet.
I love
And
that.
anyone who is interested in that is my person. So it makes me
Absolutely.
smile.
And it's funny because your life didn't start that way. So this is another thing that attracted me to you. So for everybody on the call, you know, Suze and I interviewed when I first started the podcast during COVID. So she was episode number 7. And now we're like, I think 157 or something. Yeah. And her episode is heavily downloaded. And I think part of the reason why is A, you're approachable and you're friendly and all that. But really, people are very enamored about how to develop a meditation practice.
Mhm.
And you and I could relate to having high stress jobs and then trying to find the time, right? But it needs to become a ritual and a habit. So tell people a little bit, just tiny bit about your background, because they could read about that, but more like you came from this high powered job and you started the first drop in ever worldwide studio for meditation.
Well, honestly, I probably started because I was a stress ball. And my mother-in-law said to me, "You need to breathe." And I was like, "What?"
Just like that with bags. Excuse me.
That's not what you want your mother-in-law to be telling you. But fortunately, mine was a psychotherapist, which probably made it even worse. And she taught me a 3-minute exercise to close my eyes, to slow down my breath, to visualize myself in a calm, happy place. And when I opened my eyes, I was blown away. I was blown away by the fact that I could change the way that I feel in under 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That to me was mind blowing. And that's what I love about this business so much is people don't know. They don't know that they have the tools
Isn't that
to
interesting?
be calm and be present and self-soothe and heal themselves. They
Mm-hmm.
think, and I was one of them, some people will think, oh, I need a pill or I need pot
Exactly.
or I need alcohol or
Mushroom.
I need to like just do anything but sit alone and listen to my own mind. They would never stop and just breathe. But that's the secret sauce. And
Mhm.
most people don't tell you. So anyway, so she taught me that. And then she said I should
But
learn
I want to
how to
stop
meditate.
that for a second because I think you say something it's like actually a pinpoint for me because I also get very frustrated being a facilitator myself that people do have the tools within them. And why do you think they run away from themselves?
Everyone
Mm,
has the tools within them. It's not just some people, it's every
totally.
single human. The reason why is they really didn't know that they had them because I was that same person. I didn't know that it was that simple. I didn't know that there was an alternative way to feeling differently about life's challenges, about, the way you feel physically, about the people in your life.
That it's
And
a choice.
yeah, it was actually, so I learned that through her, but similarly, I used to think I had a bad memory.
Mm,
And then I discovered this guy named Jim Quick. So Jim Quick is the boy with the broken brain. He
mhm.
wrote this book called Limitless. Basically, he injured his brain as a child and he thought he couldn't learn. But as he got older, he learned not only that he had these amazing powers of memory, but that he just didn't have the tools before on how to actually use them. So that's the thing is we are capable of so much, but we just need to bump into the right people in our lives who can share these tools with us,
Mm.
whether it's being a cook, whether it is being a genius with your memory, whether it's being a great business person. We all think there's so many things we can't be, and half of us wait around waiting for our knight in shining armor. I know I was someone like that. I was waiting around for a
I find
great.
that hard to believe.
Yeah, no. When I started Unplug, I really didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Wow.
I kept fantasizing that this genius business person will come into my life and help me run this business, and I could be like
They're
creative.
still waiting for that.
Yeah, but then I realized, guess what? It's never going to
You.
happen. I have to be
And
the
it's
genius.
you, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
we all need to find the the superhero within.
Yeah, it's self-efficacy. I mean, I think at the end of the day, people humans like to suffer, right? But until we actually start to stop and say like, how can I help myself? And I think that's what's really beautiful about the app that you have and the location that you have and frankly the teacher training, right?
Right.
It's that you have these tools to help people. And it's also a community.
Right. And by the way, I don't want to suffer.
Yeah,
Humans
I don't
might want
either.
to suffer, but I'm not human because it's the
Well,
last
you
thing
and
I
I
want to.
are an anomaly of that. But when you look statistically, right? And I've just participated in a silent retreat watching 94 women observing, but then also just did this other retreat with Byron Katie. And I'm listening to her coach people and I'm thinking, I need to give you more tools like meditation or breath work or some of these other things because sometimes when we operate too much in our head, as we know, we need to get into our body.
Yes. We do. And also, we don't have to suffer. That's what I love about the Unplug app so much is, when we first launched it, it was because this one guy hated leaving Unplug Studio
Mhm.
because he had to travel for work. So he asked me to start recording the teachers. But pretty soon it became people asking me, can you do meditation for overwhelm, for divorce, for anxiety, for stress, for sleep? And we created these meditations to be 10 minutes long so you could click a button and solve your problems. And they work. And
They totally
what's
work.
amazing is you can read the comments. So if we made them invisible unless you press see all, but when you press see all, you read, hundreds and thousands of comments of people just talking about how that 10 minutes changed their state. So if you don't have the tools and you need the tools, you can literally just go onto the Unplug app and search for what you're looking for and find it. But I don't think that's the best way to start a consistent meditation practice.
I don't think so either, but I want to go back to something that you just said and I want to acknowledge you. Okay. I mean, it's
Okay.
very easy for you to say, oh, and then you just click and then you see hundreds of like comments, right? First of all, this concept did not exist before you. So you came up with this idea It was just an idea. And like you said, you didn't know you had this, like you thought you were waiting for the superhero to come and like save you, the amazing business person, right?
Mhm.
How amazing is it? Like it's been 10 years, right? 9 or 10 years.
Going to be 12.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like something to celebrate. So we know that successful entrepreneurs solve problems. You solved a problem, not just locally in our community, but like you're global. Somebody asked you to start recording meditations that didn't exist on your app before. You didn't even have an app back then. How cool is that, Susie?
Thank you. I mean, that's what's the craziest thing. And for anyone who's actually listening to this, I want to tell you a secret.
Tell us.
The secret is this: you don't have to be a genius to do anything. You just have to take a tiny step. And I didn't know shit about shit. I just want to clarify that message.
You knew a
I knew
lot about
what I
fashion.
wanted. I knew what I wanted, but I did not know how to do anything.
That's not true. You were
It
like
is true.
really successful.
Well, I was successful in fashion and I had a great career in fashion, but I did not have a clue about how to build a tech product.
True.
I did not have a clue how to build a brick and mortar studio. I did not have a clue how to ring someone up, when they wanted to buy something through retail. I didn't have a clue how to even make retail products. But I figured everything out on YouTube pretty much. Like there is a YouTube video for any issue. And now with AI, which is, a whole nother story,
Yes.
there is a way to do the things that you only dream of. And not everybody's going to win, but someone said this to me in the beginning and it really was helpful that I rather say, oh, well, that
Mm.
didn't work out too. What if? What if I did this thing and it did work out? Like, I'd rather look back and be like, that bombed, that didn't work, than I never tried it because I was afraid. Like, so sometimes there's a gift in not being the sharpest tack and not doing all the research and not coming up with all the reasons why you
All that
shouldn't.
naivety.
Yeah, just do it. Just do the thing.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and I think at the end of the day, it does take some very clear skills to continue, right? So you and I were talking before we got on the call about like how long it's been since we both, because I started, I think 3 years after you or so. And we both said like we love what we do.
Mhm.
So that makes all the difference of why you continue.
100%.
And of course, your meditation every day.
I couldn't do what I do unless I love it. Like
Mhm.
to do what I do, you have to love it. You have to be willing to do it, even if someone just asked this question, like, what would you do for a living if you had to do something and there was no money?
Mm.
What would be the thing that you do? And this is what I would be doing.
I love that. A friend of mine posed that same question to me last year. If you didn't make a dime off of anything that you were ever doing, would you still do the same thing? I said yes. And I think that says something about both of our values, like probably come from service and community, because I feel like without those, what do you have? Because you come into the world alone and die in the world alone, right? With no money.
Well, I think it's all about purpose,
Hmm.
passion, and a lot of people work in jobs that they don't like for the money and they need to. So let's
Hmm.
clarify that. But they're able to live a better family life because of it. And they're
Hmm.
able to lean in on family or lean in on friendships or lean in on fun,
Hmm.
um, or help others. And yes, I'm lucky that I get to do both. I get to, work in a job that pays me and that I have passion and purpose about. But I would probably do the exact same thing even if there was no currency. And by the way, and I'm not just speaking out of my rear here, there was this new thing that just came out. It's called the 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis. Have
Hmm.
you heard about this?
No, I haven't. You need to tell me
all the
about it.
people
Already
in the
clear.
business all the people in the business world are talking about it right now. It's basically
About
a
AI.
prediction of what happens with AI
Yes.
and what happens when it stops being B2C, business to consumer, or B2B, business to business, and it
Mhm.
starts being M to M, machine to machine, and
Wow.
we become obsolete.
Totally.
And they're saying that the currency will be credits. You'll have enough credits for search.
Wow, that's
So go
scary.
on Amazon. Like it's just this whole thing that will blow your mind. And by the way, don't read it because it's really depressing, to be honest with you. But the one thing I do know is that unplug is H to H, it's human to human.
Mm,
And there is no thing that could outweigh that. And I
hmm.
think human to human is going to be the most important thing in the future is being able to have great human skills
I totally agree. I think it
because
just
we don't have it.
continues to get so escalated and emphasized in the interactions just in general stores, right? Where you're like, woohoo, trying to get some service here. I've been standing here for 5 minutes, just wondering. But yeah, I do feel like it's even just people skills of understanding how to greet people, how to see someone, how to be with them and not want anything in return. That it's not, human interaction is an exchange, but it doesn't always have to be, like you said, through currency.
Yeah. So we have to think out of the box like that. So, developing our human skills is going to be very important within the next 2 years, not
It's
the
actually
next
one of
10
the
years.
trends. It's actually one of the trends. I don't know if you follow Fit Insider, but like they basically track all the wellness trends. And it's definitely one of the trends is more human to human purpose. That's why I think like even like things in the music business, they're trying to bring in more human interaction, not just the observing of like bands, but also like how do you bring in meditation into it, breath work, like more wellness components of it. But yeah, so anyways, I want to know something, okay? Because I am an avid, or I used to be an avid user of your app. And it's only like, as we said, due to habit, because I started doing other things for rituals in the morning, like breath work, as people know.
Mhm.
But my question for you is one of the things I always really loved is the ease of use.
Mm.
So can you tell me, I mean, I know you worked really long and really hard on it, and it's expensive to develop an app. How did you go about understanding like user friendliness? Like it, because it's really easy to find people and subjects. You have subjects that a lot of people don't have.
True. So I think first of all, I was really lucky because, and I just kind of wrote about this story on Facebook. I did not know anything about tech or apps or anything like that. So I started following this guy on YouTube called the App Master, Steve P. Young. And this was early days, like 2017. And I saw that he was like doing a retreat in LA. So I
Oh,
reached out to him. It was a 1 day retreat. He invited me to join. I joined and I met him. And he kind of taught me how to think about my app.
mm.
And then he taught me how to write to Apple to kind of connect with Apple to maybe get featured. And Apple invited me to go to Apple Entrepreneur Camp where I got to live in Cupertino and go to Apple for 9 days on campus. Now they
Cool.
just do everything virtual. But when I went,
Do
it
that
was
for a
right.
few years? Did
What?
you do that for a few years? Because I
No,
think I saw you.
well, I went back for the
Okay.
DevDub, which is the World Wide Web Developer Conference. But I went to this 9 day Apple course and I learned a couple things that they passed down from Steve Jobs and that apply for life. One was he believed that apps should be both beautiful and simple. And
Mm.
he had on his wall a sign that used to say, simplify, simplify, simplify. And then he crossed out two simplifies to make it even more simple. So I looked at our app and we had got to meet all these different people. And I met this guy, Doug, who worked as a designer for, Apple App Store and Apple. And I gave him a pen and I said, how would you change my app? How would you redesign it? And he went, I would do this. And so I took that, and the developer was with me, and I gave it to the developer, and we basically worked on it.
What?
But as I've gone forward in the interim, I've had to solve my own issues and my own problems. And I also had the good fortune to talk to the ex-CEO of Headspace. And he said that on Headspace, there's about 98% of the content no one ever even
Oh,
sees because it's buried
totally.
under the little icons at the bottom. And I
Totally.
thought to myself, oh, I don't want that. I want people to know everything that's on the app. So the first thing that I did was I put every single thing that we have on offer on the app, on the home screen, but
Mhm.
I made it so it was not overwhelming.
Yeah.
I simplified it.
That's so visually appealing.
Yep. And then I also created the habit that I wanted to have for myself, which is meditate 10 minutes in the morning in bed before I get out of bed. I knew that I could actually make that happen,
Totally.
but I didn't just want meditation. I wanted journaling, gratitude, asking myself a sacred question to kind of be able to hear my own voice and plant some kind of positive seed in my mind.
Mhm.
So when you open up the Unplug app, the first thing you see is a positive quote. So that's the first thing that goes into my brain in the morning.
Totally.
Then there's the daily checklist. So the first thing is the question of the day. The second thing is the journal with the three gratitude things. And then the third thing is meditation. So when I do that, I'm going to show you what that looks like because I did it this morning, is it'll look like that. The home screen,
Yeah,
which would
totally.
be three check boxes because I did all three things.
Mhm.
And that's what I do. And then we
And it's
also,
also visually appealing. So, like when you said simple, 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 look how easy that is for people to digest and absorb. Mhm.
exactly. And then as you can see, I don't know, is this on video or is this audio?
There'll be some on video and there'll be some.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, for people who are just listening, when you open up the app, not only do you see question of the day, gratitude journal, and meditation under the daily check-in, but the only other thing you see is the meditation of the day. Because I learned this from Heather Hayward, that if people have to take a vote, should I or shouldn't I meditate? Or you go on to something like another app like Insight Timer, which has over 35,000 meditations on there. It's overwhelming. You want to search and you spend a lot of time
Get
searching for the
very
perfect
overwhelmed and then you
meditation.
give up.
We don't do that. Like basically, we have produced every single meditation, so I know that they're all good. The majority of them are under 10 minutes or under.
Mhm.
And the meditation of the day is the one we suggest that you do. Just do that. Or if you're like a type A personality, we have a monthly challenge every month. So the boxes check on the monthly challenge.
So what you're saying is that we know that people use things when there's ease of use. And we also know that people will create habits like more efficiently if you help guide them. So you're doing that with like 3 to 4 simple steps.
Yeah. But I also believe, and I don't know if you've read this book, I'm sure you have,
Hmm.
Tiny Habits. Have you
Oh
read
yeah,
Tiny
I
Habits?
love
Okay.
that. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I like it.
I believe in habit stacking.
I am, yeah.
If you want to get stuff done, like if there's something that's important to you, let's say you want to work out every single day, or you want to meditate every single day, or you want to journal every single day, or you want to do something every single day because we know consistency is king. You need to make it easy for yourself to do that. So for me, meditating every day is easy because I don't get out of bed until I do it.
Hmm.
And I'm getting out of bed every single day. So that's my habit stack.
Yes. Hmm. Absolutely.
And working out is the same thing. Like I don't, um, after I meditate first thing in the morning, I wake up and then I either have a cup of coffee and go to the gym or go to the gym and have a cup of coffee. But I'm definitely going to the gym
You're doing both.
before, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
So,
I habit stack the gym with I'm lucky because I have a gym in my building now.
mhm.
So yeah.
So here's my question for you. What if I'm one who starts to get so excited about meditation and I realize that it might be a calling for me to continue to pursue, to deepen my learning, to basically, we know meditation is a journey into self, right? So what do you recommend for that? So it's what's interesting, and this didn't come up in our last interview, interestingly enough, is I'm finding and listening that the way you're designing and building things is based upon your own self, right? So you are the first model, kind of like fashion, right? So it's like when a designer designs, they design for themselves a lot of times first. And so, like, you're designing a lot of the things that you've done first based on you as a consumer, but I know you do a ton of market research anyways. But that's really interesting because it's the same for me because so many people have said through the years, like, oh, you should do this, you should do that. And I'm like, no, you have to stand firm in what you believe in, right? Even
Right.
if it's a trend, like going back to the beginning, like when I was like, well, are you sure you don't want to teach yoga? Are you sure you don't want to? You're like, no,
Right.
now, of course,
Now,
wellness is blown up. So you have amazing teachers at the studio. But I love the way you stay true to you because that says a lot about your brand. Like, we were even having conversations about the event coming up and I'm like, "Oh, do you want to advertise it at the front desk?" You're like, "No, I only do this. This is my rule." That is really high integrity. You
well,
don't waffle.
I pivot all the time. So,
Exactly.
so just so
Waffle and
you
pivoting are a
know,
different thing though.
I do pivot all the time. And I grow with the brand.
Of
There's
course.
certain things that I need to do to stay true to the brand, and sometimes things go off course and
Mhm.
I course correct. That happens
Totally.
a lot. So just to clarify that.
Well, and
But
I
for
think we have to do that's like you said, it's growth. And
yes.
that's introspection. That's self-reflection. That's also reflection for your business, right? Because we could create a vision and be like, oh, well, that's not really working. Like,
Yeah. But for people who, I get this question all the time. I have a lot of friends who are going through divorce or having issues with their kids or, really stressed or really anxious or can't sleep at night. And they're trying things like psilocybin and all these different modalities or anxiety medication. And I say to them, honestly, if you learned how to meditate, it really would change your life. But
absolutely.
not just being a dabbler. I don't believe in dabbling with this practice. I believe in consistency. If you want to see the real benefits, you need to build a consistent practice that sticks
Absolutely.
for you.
Mhm.
We do a thing called the Unplug Meditation Teacher Training,
Mhm.
where it doesn't matter whether you are just looking to deepen your own practice or even learn how to meditate, or you're looking to be able to walk into Google and walk into Kaiser Permanente and be able to teach surgeons how to meditate. We prepare you for both. But what we believe is if you can learn how to meditate and then you learn to teach how to meditate, then you learn twice and you lock it in.
Mhm.
And then you learn to love it. And
Mhm.
the thing is, some people, I would say at least a third of the people who do our teacher training course don't ever think about teaching, but
Mhm.
they end up teaching, not even
Yeah.
realizing that they didn't want to, but they all walk away with a practice. That's
Yeah, I have several friends who have participated and speak so highly of it. First of all, I don't know if David G is still the teacher of it.
yes, yes,
He's incredible. And I mean,
right,
just being in presence with him, you'll basically drop in anyways.
right.
But I think that learning the skill of meditation, and like you said, regardless of whether or not you're going to become a practitioner, is only going to help the homeostasis of your nervous system to be more even, right? And the goal is for us to, everybody's looking for ways to reduce stress and ways to reduce inflammation and ways to get our hormones on track. And yet we have this tool available to us
Mhm.
that if you truly learn, because some people just dabble in it or say like, "Oh, I meditate," but then when you really inquire, it's not really fully there. So, how beautiful that you can offer them this teacher training, that they can become immersed in it for themselves, but then hopefully for other people, right?
Mhm. I agree. And we didn't even mention there's a new study that just came out about meditation and cancer and how obviously stress impacts healing with cancer and how meditation also can impact healing with cancer. That was a new study that just came out with Harvard, and it's also available. I just read about it. My husband sent it to me, and I was like, wow. I mean, we
Yes.
know all this, but the more they do studies, the more interesting it becomes. And
Yeah.
what you
It's
were
like,
talking about was like crisis meditating. When a crisis occurs and people meditate, and then they feel better. But
mm-hmm.
consistent meditation is the thing where it literally will change your life.
Well, yeah, because it keeps you at a certain place. And then when crisis does hit or trauma, you have a tool to rely on. Like I'm sure during the time of the fires, when you were in complete crisis, um, it was something that you more than relied on to help you stay sane and sound. So I did want to ask a question about, well, first of all, didn't you just get written up also in Better Homes and Gardens for the teacher training?
I got written up in Better Homes and Gardens for the fire
Oh,
and
that's right. You wrote
how
something.
I stayed calm.
Yeah.
And it was a great article about my entire house burned down. There was nothing left but rubble. But in the rubble, I saw 14 of my, or 12, I can't remember, of my china bowls that I had not used, that I've been
Wow.
saving for those special moments. And when the special moments came, I literally didn't even use them. I used the dishwasher safe dishes. But it's this story of discovery and how that's all that remained from the
Mhm.
fires, and how meditation really helped me handle that better than I probably would
So
have had not
amazing.
been a meditator. And
Mm,
we saw each other
we
when
did.
we escaped.
Yes.
We were in evacuation mode. You know,
Yes.
when I saw you, both of our houses had not burned down.
No. But
And
it was a very tenuous time, remember, because at that time,
uh,
we just really weren't clear. And I remember that morning leaving you at the hotel and you saying, I just don't know yet. I don't know yet. Because you actually were going to kind of try to go back in to see if you could get back in. And at
right.
that point in time, I just kept going further, further south. But, it was just our entire community dismantled and disintegrated essentially, as we know it. And what a beautiful way for you to come back from. It's such a beautiful story about how you could discover things from nothing,
Mhm.
which is true meditation, by the way.
Right.
So that's amazing. So I want to ask you also, how does one sign up for your teacher training?
It's so easy. Honestly, go to unplug.com and you'll learn about the studio, the teacher training, the app, everything. And you can read about it, watch videos of other people who've done it, and hear their testimonials. We have so many testimonials, but that's how you learn more. And obviously, anyone who's interested in deepening their practice, I would love to hold space for them and help
Are you
them
still involved with it?
de-virginize them.
Ooh, yeah, baby. Deflower, as you have flowers behind you.
I always laugh. I'm like, I meet all these people who've never meditated before, and then they come and they do privates at our studio, or they'll do the teacher training just because they want to learn how to do this right.
Mhm.
And I love those people because they walk away with so much profound, you know, discovery inside of themselves.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I mean we both know Shayna Hiller, and I remember when I got trained from her for yoga, I literally was like, "Yeah, I don't think I'm going to teach," and she was like, "You're going to teach. You're going to teach. You're actually meant to teach," and I was like, "I'm not teaching." And it's funny, like as you said, kind of like with you, you found this meditation, and for me, I teach mostly privates, but it's like I wouldn't give up that part of my week because it's such a beautiful blessing to share with people on that level.
Mm.
And I think it's the same thing when people learn to meditate in a community, the collective energy and intention that is set there is so beautiful. And I know that you and David create just such sacred space. So,
Love that you just said that because I actually said that too. When I
mhm.
started this company, I was like, I'm not going to teach. I just wanted to hire the best teachers and I wanted to meditate with them. But pretty soon, once you learn this, you have two choices. You can hoard it
Yeah. Which,
or
why
you
would
can
you do
share
that?
it. But a lot of people hoard it. They don't share it. And I mean, but then you run into someone who's biting their nails, having a panic attack on an airplane, and you're like, let me teach you this little tool. And then they go out and teach two friends and so on and so forth. It's like a Fabergé
It's
commercial.
actually funny because, well, it's not funny. It's actually kind of sad. So a few years ago, I took this intensive, actually. I don't know what possessed me slightly to do this, but I went to Core Power Yoga to do this intensive. And, they're all very young teachers, right? Very young people, all great. But I'm young, as you know, but it's more like, so I was observing all of them, and they do something called like it's an actual audition. So it's the antithesis of what yoga or meditation would truly be. They call it an audition. Anyways, all of these girls were having such anxiety about auditioning. I literally had to calm them down. And I was thinking, this is not what we're trying to create. Like,
Mm,
why? And also, wow, like we keep talking about this generation being so heavily anxious, and I'm witnessing it right here.
mm.
So it was very telling for me. Speaking, they were all your future meditation, uh, for teacher training. But anyway, so I want to leave us with a few things. So first and foremost, we have the Soulful Gather event coming on March 21st. I'm so excited that you're on the panel. You know what I'm trying to do and what I've done through the panelists and also through the speakers is provide an integration between all areas of wellness. So mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional wellness. So
Mhm.
as women, we basically fragment our voices or our information. And I wanted to provide a place where everybody came in one. So, if you were to tell anybody anything about what you might share specifically, and I think you've said a lot about meditation, but if you were going to have a woman take charge of her wellness journey, what would you say that she might do? What's her
I,
first?
I think the first thing to do is close your eyes and ask yourself some questions, which is, how do I want to be? Not what do I want to do, but how do I want to show up? Do I want to be calm? Do I want to be present? Do I want to be focused? What is your word?
Mm-hmm.
And then how would you go about achieving your word?
Mm-hmm.
And then write yourself a letter as if 2026 was the best year of your entire life. What would have to happen for that to happen? And then go backwards and read the letter to yourself.
Mm-hmm. That's what we just
That's
did in our workshop for visioning too.
Oh, really? Yeah,
Yeah, we're
that's what I
so in
that's what I
alignment.
would say.
Mm,
That's what I would say is just, everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own desires. The question is, how do you go about achieving those desires that you have in the calmest, most aligned way?
I love that. So tell me one thing you really desire to achieve this year.
I'm going to put it out there because then maybe I'll get it done.
Of course you
I'm
will.
saying it, but I haven't been doing it. And my desire is I've written two books.
Hmm.
I want to
I
write a
saw that,
third.
by the way. I didn't know that.
Oh,
I literally
I
didn't
wrote a
know
book.
that because maybe I just didn't ever see the advertising of it or whatever. But like, I literally was like, I didn't know she wrote a book. That's amazing. But like two books.
Well, the first book I wrote was a joke book called Getting Over John Doe. And it's a book that actually Sarah Jessica Parker loved it so much when Sex and the City came out. There was definitely some references to it.
Love
And
it.
she actually read at our book party, which was so great. And then the second book was Unplug, A Simple Guide to Meditation for Busy Skeptics and Modern Soul Seekers.
Yep.
And that book did really well. And now this third book is really going to be, I don't know what the title is going to be because I'm in the process of doing it, but it's basically every tool I've ever learned and how to actually bring those tools into your life. So to handle all of your life's challenges so you can jump the hurdles. Jump the hurdle of life.
So have you been working on this for a while?
No. I came up with it after the second week of January, and I've started it and I'm in the process of writing it. But my intention is to have it done and published by the end of this year.
Love it.
And I don't want to go. My other books were published by major publishing houses. This one I want to publish myself because I just feel like then you can just do what you want.
Do your own thing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you also are a marketer. So like, it's not like, you know what to do. You know what to do.
Yeah. So maybe I will send it to some, I don't know. I just have to write the thing first, the whole thing.
Yeah. Will you work with a book coach? So I believe that this is this conversation, as we know, things happen for a reason. So I believe this is happening for a reason because you're reminding me. It's like a mirror. So go ahead.
No, I'm just going to show up.
You're going to hunker down, sister.
Hunker down, show up and do the thing. What does that mean? That means like writing for 1 hour every day.
I love it.
That's what I need to do.
You know, for me, like I find that I'm always writing, because I'm always writing because I have to, right? Or I don't just have to, I do it because I want to. But anyways, I think that's great. And I love the fact that you're going to basically be taking all these amazing tools that you've gathered and give people them the gift because they need it.
From all the geniuses that I've met in this business. And I've met so many geniuses. Like I have to say, when I listen to the Unplug app and I hear Heather Hayward say things like, instead of thinking about what if, think about what is. Like there are so many genius sound bites that I've heard that I'm constantly saying and I don't even know where half of them came from. Yeah. But no, I'm saying them as they are.
Often they're channeling.
I feel like I need to share it. Like the other day, this woman, Kelly Turner, who teaches at Unplug, said, the magic isn't outside of you. It is you. And I was like,
it is you. Totally. I agree with that. Okay. So anything that you want to leave our audience with before they get to see you on March 21st in person?
I would love to meet every single one of you. So when you do see me in person at this event, please come up and say hello. And let's have eye contact and be human to human. I want to build more human to human connections. And I'm really excited to meet all the humans that you're going to gather at this event and give a real squeeze in real life.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for saying that. So, and tell people where they can reach you, even though it's going to be all on the thing. So Unplug.
Well, to learn about Unplug, unplug.com, and to connect with me, you can DM me at Suze Yalof Schwartz on Instagram. Perfect. That's easy. Or Suze at unplug.com.
All right. And if you want to know more about her values, she could tell you real quick. What are your top 5 core values?
My top 1 is fun.
Yeah, baby. That's why you have a smile on your face all the time.
I really do think it's important to have fun in life. Like life can be heavy, but fun is
capital F-U-N.
And breathe. You know what? Everything's going to be okay. My value is that I can be fun. I want to be calm. I believe in calm energy.
Me too.
I believe in fun, and I believe in action. Okay, we can all sit and dream.
Breath in. Let it out. Time for us to go back to work soon. Thank you.
Thank you. What's yours, just out of curiosity?
My values?
Yeah.
Community, connection, fun is definitely one of them too. Collaboration, inspiration, and service.
Fun and love. Those are my.
I love. I love love. So yeah, totally. I'm a big lover. Thank you so much for joining me today on the Opportunity Knocks podcast by EmpowHer Purpose and me, Michelle Valenzuela Wolf. If opportunity is knocking at your door, feel free to take inspiration from the journeys of our diverse female entrepreneurs. Their tips and transparency are all available on the Opportunity Knocks podcast. Thank you for your support and subscribe now.